what he names, Simondon, a quantum leap, in reference to quantum physics. A quantum leap in individuation, which is a crossing of a threshold in the process of individuation by which significance, recalling here that Wittgenstein defines meaning as the shared use of a term. It is infinitized. Meaning is a singular process of individuation, transformation, which makes possible common and shared use, significance, of words for a speaker, or of objects, other objects of social practices for a musician, a cook, a mason, a nanny, or an architect, for example. Meaning can then lead the psychic individual to develop and transform signification itself, either by extending it or through the way they can present it, and thus to contribute to the development of the collective individual constituted through trans-individuation and the sharing of significations as a synchronically metastabilized ensemble, an ensemble which thus takes a quantum leap and individuates itself, that is, diachronizes itself. As such, the trans-individual becomes, for the psychic individual, what Simondon calls the pre-individual, that is, a potential. Circuits of trans-individuation form in the dialogism in which human commerce in general consists are founded on the relation of primordial confidence, which, if one follows the clinical analysis of Winnicott, are elaborated in early childhood as the experience of the transitional object. This space opens up a relation to consistencies, that is, to that which does not exist, but consists. A relation to what, I quote, Winnicott, makes life worth living. This relation of care, constituted by the transitional object, that is, by the first pharmacon, as we shall see, and we will see, forms the basis of what becomes, as transitional space, an intermediate area of experience where objects of culture, of the arts, of religion, and of science are formed. This intermediate area is neither inside nor outside, Winnicott says, and strictly speaking, it does not exist, but it consists. I quote Winnicott. Of every individual that has reached the stage of being a unit with a limiting membrane and an outside and an inside, it can be said that there is an inner reality. But is it enough? The third part of the life of a human being, a part that we can't ignore, is an intermediate area of experiencing to which inner reality and external life both contribute. Spiritual mind is the interiorization, après coup, aftermath, after effect, of this non-interiority as what I call with Derrida, revenance. What Winnicott also calls potential space. This interiorization presupposes care, that is, a process of learning through which an art of interiorization is developed, an art of living that Winnicott calls creativity. It is the pharmacon, a proto-pharmacon, which here takes the name of transitional object. Within pharmacological space, which can only become therapeutic insofar as pharmaca for transitional objects of all kinds, autonomy is not what opposes heteronomy, but rather what adopts it as a default, which, more than a lack, is a necessary default, and is that, I quote, which makes the individual feel that life is worth living. I quote Winnicott. I said that this autonomy is not opposite to heteronomy because it is not the self of metaphysics. What Winnicott calls the self, the interior, as he says, is constituted from the primordial default of interiority as adoption, as creativity, that is, as individuation of transitional space, interiorization being a co-individuation of this space itself, transitional space thus being constituted as a process of transindividuation in which circuits form. Being pharmacological, transitional space becomes poisonous. That is, in the language of Winnicott, a form of illness. When it installs, I quote, a relationship to external reality which is one of compliance. The world and its details being recognized, but only as something to be fitted in with or demanding adaptation. Compliance carries with it a sense of futility for the individual and is associated with the idea that nothing matters, unquote. The transitional phenomena which characterize the psychic life of the infants, I quote, Winnicott, belong to the realm of illusion, which is at the basis of initiation experience. This intermediate area of experience, unchallenged in respect of its belong to inner or external shared reality, constitutes the greater part of the infant's experience, and throughout, life is retained in the intense experiencing that belongs to the arts, and to religion, and to imaginative living, and to creative scientific work, unquote. In the course of this experience, an economy is constituted, which is that of investment in the object, investment, through which the object can appear, and only through this investment, that is, be aimed at and intentionalized. I quote, the object relating the subject allows certain alterations in the self to take place of a kind that has caused us to invent the term cathexis, investment. The object has become meaningful. Projection mechanisms and identifications have been operating, unquote. To which Winnicott adds this question, I quote, if play is neither inside nor outside, where is it? Unquote. This question of Winnicott contains an echo of the following footnote by Jacques Derrida. It was in Spectre de Marx. I quote, the radical possibility of all spectrality should be sought in the direction that Husserl identifies in such a surprising but forceful way as an intentional but non-real component of the phenomenological lived experience, namely the noïm. Unlike the three other terms of the two correlations, noise, noème, morphe, hule, this non-reality, this intentional but non-real inclusion of the noematic correlate is neither in the world nor in consciousness. But it is precisely the condition of any experience, any objectivity, any phenomenality, namely of any noetico-noematic correlation. It is not what inscribes, is it not what inscribes the possibility of the other and of mourning right onto the phenomenality of the phenomenon